happening on 12th Main Road of Indira Nagar HAL. In fact, this particular road until a few years ago was flanked by plots and gracious homes, but not anymore. The Resident Welfare Association of Indira Nagar had come out on the streets protesting against the rampant commercialization in this particular lane.
The pubs that you're seeing right now are all residences that have been turned into pubs with absolutely no parking. When they mean valet parking, they mean parking in front of my house and her house. That's what valet parking is. Sewage lines have not been changed ever for the last 60 years when the layout was formed.
We have asked the additional commissioner to take initial action. 3-4 initiative, this one they have locked commercial establishment. That has to become a little more aggressive. There's a little discussion in the council also regarding this. So very shortly we will go very strongly on whoever doesn't have the licenses, we will start closing them. If in case they open up, we'll book criminal cases.
You see a lot of traffic in the evening because there are a lot of restaurants on both sides of the lane and people start parking in front of the restaurants and there's no way to go.
I come walking from my college, so it's always another chaos for me also when I go for lunch and everything to cross the road. Not only about the elderly people here, because of course they're scared of the fast vehicles coming in and going, but I feel there should be a policeman at least here.
My point on this is the pubs have the valet parking thing. They end up eating up a lot of space on the road, because of which the normal traffic movement is affected.
Bandra has become really bad because firstly they've dug up everything. Secondly, there is absolutely no law followed as far as driving goes. People, if they see the space, they just put the car in.
Well, that's the debate we're looking at this evening. Now, we've seen this happen in every one of our large cities, where residential neighborhoods get turned into commercial spaces, where pubs and nightclubs and restaurants begin to operate. As a result, the residents find themselves at a loss. Where the operation goes on till late in the night, there's parking that turns into a problem, there's noise that turns into a problem, and that resulted in members of the HAL neighborhood in Bangalore, in Indira Nagar. We've all seen how Indira Nagar has changed over the last several years. They came out and they protested, asking that these deadlines not be extended anymore. They said the biggest problem are drunken brawls that happen late at night when these places close down, constant honking and screaming on the roads after the pubs shut down. These are the few problems being faced by residents. What are the solutions right now, and where do the people who run our cities stand on these issues? Aarti Sathe of the BJP joins us right now. So does Hrishikesh Kanan, who is one of the well-known voices in the city of Mumbai. Danish Sait from Bangalore, Sridhar Pabbishetty, CEO of Nama Bengaluru Foundation. Aruna Newton is a resident of Indira Nagar. And Chef Mitesh Rangras joins us. He's the director at Sid Hospitality. I want to start with Aruna Newton, who's representing this entire problem. Aruna, what are the problems you're facing right now in Bangalore and Indira Nagar?
Thank you, Faye. I'm the president of the HAL Second Stage Civic Amenities and Cultural Association. The protest was actually supposed to be a demonstration that rued the death of our neighborhood. The whole candlelight vigil was to convey the emotion of mourning for something that we had lost. Our problems range from drunken driving, drunken brawls. I'm disappointed to tell you that the top two crimes in Indira Nagar are drugs and prostitution. Is that the neighborhood you would like to bring up your children in? Of course, apart from the noise, the microbreweries spewing chemical waste into already strained residential drainage systems, which have not been done up in the last, I think, 4 or 5 decades. We have very poor sewage disposal systems. Everything has gone to seed. Women can't walk out. Come out of your house at 12, at midnight, you will see a bunch of guys urinating against compound walls. And then, one evening I just braved myself to say, hey, what the hell do you think you guys are doing? And you know what they said? Ma'am, sorry ma'am, we're just relieving ourselves. I don't know if that's supposed to be a demonstration of how hep you sound or whatever else. But,
Aruna, what is the demands right now of the Indira Nagar Residents Association? Do you want these pubs shut down?
We want every one of these pubs and restaurants running in commercial areas shut down. They are, I'll also inform you, we have filed over 280 RTIs with the BDA and the BBMP to check if these properties have permits to convert from residences to commercial areas, and we've discovered from the BDA that not one of them has been given a conversion permit by BDA. BBMP has not responded to the RTIs despite going in for an appeal. And so when the law and order system simply crashes, then sadly the citizen has to act.
All right, let me bring in Danish Sait. Danish, where do you stand on this? What she's saying is completely valid for a resident who's lived in any neighborhood. And let's be honest, this is the truth about Indira Nagar in Bangalore. Absolutely. It's the truth about, Bandra in Mumbai. If we go to every city, every big city, it's happening in every big city. Yeah. So, but do you think it's a valid ask that all of these places need to be shut down immediately?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I didn't know the problems were this many, and I really empathize with ma'am because fortunately I live in a good residential area, so it never really impacts me and where I stay. But my take on this is, even if you travel to other parts of the world, usually there's one central area where the nightclubs and the pubs and all of that are situated. Around neighborhoods they have smaller pubs, but I think what's happened in most cities in India is, residential areas have turned into nightclubs, and it's just very strange, the sort of development. And now when she says that, permissions aren't even sought, I think that just finishes the argument straight away. I mean, I'd be silly if I turned around and said, no, nightclubs are our birthright, they should be there, right? So I personally feel that these pubs, I mean, obviously we go there as well. I've gone to these pubs in Indira Nagar.
So hang on, Danish, are you saying that the nightclubs that have the permits should be allowed to continue and the ones that don't have the permits should be shut down? See, because the question is shut them down or don't shut them down right now. So if they don't have permits, then of course they have to be shut down. But if they have the permits, if they've gotten the permits legally, then what happens?
You can't do anything in extremes, Faye. I don't think, No, I believe that you can't just shut all of them down, because I'm sure you're bothered about your family. Then even those nightclubs, it's not like they have tons of money, even they make money out of it. It's a business, right? I'm sure there should be a middle ground somewhere there, but like I said, in most other parts of the world, be it New York, be it, whatever, Barcelona, they have like one central area where all the nightclubs and pubs are at, and residential areas have tiny bars around the neighborhood. But over here we've taken the nightclub area to the residential area, and it's literally converted, because Indira Nagar 12th Main, I still remember Maruti Hospital used to be there. I in fact got treated there many years ago when I was very small, but now that's turned into like one of those random pubs that serve beer.
So hang on, let me bring in Mitesh here. Mitesh represents a restaurateurs association. Mitesh, so here's the problem. A lot of these restaurants we've seen happen in most of our cities come up and in residential neighborhoods. They come up in residential neighborhoods. Now, what is your response to point number one? Most of them don't have permits. Or you have the BDA or the BBMP, or in our case, the BMC, actually willy-nilly giving out permits to restaurants in residential neighborhoods, and leading to drugs and prostitution and people urinating on compound walls.
I'm not aware of the, of how Bangalore operates. But
Bandra, I know Bandra residents that we spoke to felt the same thing. In the number of years that I've been in business
in Bombay, I think the BMC here is quite serious about the rules and regulations. They've been very particular about what they've been doing. They've demolished restaurants left, right and center that did not have permits. And I think the laws are quite stringent as far as licensing and permits go in Bombay.
Should restaurants be available in residential neighborhoods?
So if there is a restaurant which is operating for X number of years with all valid permits and licenses, I don't see any reason. See, what happens is that ultimately it's a business. There are families that that those guys are also running. So I also feel that there needs to be some kind of middle ground, like like my colleague just suggested. There has to be some kind of middle ground. Like in Bombay, we have pockets now. We have pockets like Kulaba. We have pockets like Kamla Mills, where your where your studio is. like Lower Parel. There is Bandra, and then there's
What about Bandra and Juhu and Kolaba, where we know that all of the residents have these problems? I also want to bring in Hrishikesh Kanan. Rishi, I want to understand from you what your what your stand is in all of this, because as residents, I know that people in all cities, even in Chennai, people face problems because when pubs are in your neighborhood and when people come out at night, there is an issue there.
The answer really is to get a entertainment district going. Now, I know for a fact that Bandra Kurla complex right here in Mumbai city has been touted for a while over the last 5 years as a possible entertainment district whereby, there are office establishments that run through the day and, come evening, it becomes an entertainment district. It's something that, has lacked political will. For example, I know that Aditya Thackeray has been speaking about it from 2014, but his allies in the coalition, which is the BJP, were obviously against it. Being a radio presenter and speaking to people in the Hotel and Restaurants Association, I know that there are certain elements, like for example, Riaz Amlani, who's behind Social, was telling me how he's campaigning for a central entertainment district, which could be Kala Ghoda in town, which could be Nariman Point, which could be Bandra Kurla complex, which is more central. I think, like the gentleman said, the Kamla Mills area, where you work out of, Faye, is a prime example. In the day and in the night, in some pockets, it functions as office space, but eventually it does turn into an entertainment zone where pubs, nightclubs, restaurants function in a non-residential area. So I really think that is the answer, because if you look world over, whether it's Madrid or whether it's London, there's always a central entertainment district,
But Rishi, while that's a fair point, all of the new restaurants are coming up in these districts. What do you do to the ones who've been around for 5 years or 10 years in Bandra, in Indira Nagar, in any of the neighborhoods that we're talking about? Now, I'll bring in Aarti Sathe to respond to what Hrishikesh Kanan said, which is basically, if we are considering, Aarti, central business, central entertainment zones, and Hrishikesh pointed out the fact that the Shiv Sena has wanted it for a while, but the BJP has not. What is the stand of the government on these entertainment zones?
Well, I don't think we've not wanted entertainment zones. All that we were really saying that what the Shiv Sena had mooted, that 24/7 bars and pubs, etc. should be kept open. We only said that let's not then make it a very elitist move. Let us also keep it all open for small-time vendors, vada pav sellers, etc. so that all masses and all stratas of the society have an access to the entertainment, the nightlife which is proposed to be done. What our other concern was that we need to have a proper policing system in place, which we thought at this point of time, we were not sure whether we were ready with it. And at the same time, we have consistently said and we have supported the cause of having a centralized commercial entertainment district, like the co-panelist was saying. In fact, our city BJP party president, Mr. Ashish Shelar, has proposed very recently that in the new DP plan, which is going to be implemented, it will take some time, we will have in fact in Bandra and Khar commercial zones which will house all these pubs and restaurants together, so really residential people don't get inconvenienced. And let me also tell you that in Bandra, I stay in Bandra for the last many years, and in Bandra I have seen that the BMC has been extremely stringent and brought down and raised all the hotels, restaurants who have encroached upon illegal spaces. So I think as a government, we are not saying that we are opposed to the entertainment, but we are for the entertainment in centralized commercial districts, and we are at all times advocating to bring it under one roof, really, so as to speak.
So how is the solution? Arvind Sawant joins us from the Shiv Sena as well. Arvind Sawant, thank you for joining us. We're talking about the fact that there is a pub versus residence debate right now, which basically has pubs in residential neighborhoods, and residents find that uncomfortable. What is the progress that has happened, Arvind Sawant, on the Shiv Sena's idea of a central entertainment zone in BKC?
Their grievance is absolutely right. If the pubs are open in the residential areas, they are bound to get the trouble out of it. And then to remove that, therefore, our Aditya Thackeray has suggested long back which was criticized by my Ali, who was sitting over there. I heard her just now. They were criticizing regarding nightlife and the centralized commercial areas where we can create these hotels and bars and pubs and all those things, so that people should not be put to inconvenience, both residential and those who want to enjoy out of it also. So both will be having a win-win position, so that no person from residential area will get trouble out of this. Pubs and all, they run till midnight. And after midnight, they are bound to get in trouble because of once one person drinks and comes out and shouts on the road and all that they are not able to move. They always have a fear about it. And there is no silence in the family. That's what they want, a peace in the family. Therefore, whatever their grievance is, they're absolutely right. And we should plan accordingly now.
So far you're saying, Arvind Sawant, that it was an idea proposed by the Shiv Sena and the BJP objected to it.
Yeah, absolutely right. You asked, Aditya Thackeray proposed it, that we should have a nightlife, we should create some entertainment places in the non-residential areas in South Mumbai, where there is all this, or the area is situated with the offices, and after late in the evening or on Sundays and Saturdays, nobody is there. Not even you won't find even a bird over there. So therefore, such areas should be utilized for this, so that the people who are residential areas will not get any trouble out of it. And those who want to enjoy will be able to enjoy also. The long back proposal, it was really approved initially. But then they said what Shiv Sena wants. They want to create a pub culture in country or pub culture in Mumbai. Now they are saying that we want to plan like this. Whole humbug. This is what the hypocrisy. We don't like it. We are open and we talk about it and we do it.
Well, that's a fair point. Aarti Sathe, I'll quickly give you an opportunity to respond to this before we start looking at the Bangalore case again. The Shiv Sena saying that the BJP refused to support.
No, I don't think we refuse to support at all. All that I said, and I just said it just some time back, that we don't want any political wrangling on it. We are very open to the idea, but we want it to be housed in one central place, and we don't want to keep it only open for pubs and restaurants or, for a particular strata of the society. We want to throw it open for all stratas of societies, including the small-time vada pav vendor also. But we may have expressed our reservations about the preparedness of the state or the preparedness of the Mumbai police to man the entire process. So to say that principally we were opposed to it, I think would be a slightly incorrect statement. All that we said is that only with proper preparedness and by throwing open to all stratas of the society, this plan can be implemented. Okay. So to that extent, I've had a discussion over this. We've not completely opposed it. We've asked some tinkering around with it. So once we are prepared, I'm quite aware. I'm quite aware of it. Point is, Mr. Sawant, all that I'm saying is, instead of doing this political wrangling or bickering over it, the point is we both are on the same page that it should not be in residential zones. No, I'm not. She's asking me a question. Let me finish. No. All that I'm saying is that the point here is that we both are on the same page that it should not be in residential areas, because clearly it causes inconvenience to the residents.
That's good.
So we both are at least on the same page that it should be there, but it should be at a centralized commercial zone. That is the whole point, and we are mooting these proposals and we are mooting these ideas.
Okay.
But we are all saying that it should be open to all stratas of the society, including small-time vendors also.
But right now we have
and not have an elitist approach to it.
Then again you are mistaking that. We were saying the same thing for all stratas of the society. Kindly go and 1 or 2 programs have been conducted in South Mumbai and ask them who have participated in that program. Right from small artists, small jugglers, everybody was there. So all stratas of the society.
The reservation was whether the preparedness of the state was there on the law and order situation.
It might be very likely that you are both arguing about the same thing, but the question that arises is for the pubs and the restaurants that already exist inside of residential neighborhoods. Sridhar Pabbishetty, see,
the police commissioner has granted a permission that time.
All right, Mr. Sawant, I agree with you. I agree with the fact that
permission. These people opposed it.
that restaurants should be moved to central zones, Mr. Sawant. But the question is then, and I have this question first for Arvind Sawant because the Shiv Sena is running Mumbai, and we'll ask this question of our other governments as well. What will you do to restaurants that are already in residential neighborhoods? Bandra is choco-block with restaurants. So is Juhu. So is Chembur. So will you move them? Will you ask them to all shut shop and move to one location?
This is the answer for that. For a pubs, we have to keep a control if it is in residential area. If they want to open the pubs, it should be in somewhere in non-residential area. We'll request them, you have to close down by so and so time. And we'll plan what best way out of this we can be done so that it should be a win-win position for both the people. I mean, those who want to enter, those who should not be arrested also. Why a common man should be arrested out of it?
Okay, so pubs in residential areas should be treated differently. Sridhar Pabbishetty, is that in line with what Number Bangalore Foundation also wants?
No, I think, see, this is a sad part of urban governance in India today. The problems are running at 1,000 kilometers and the political parties are crawling at 1 kilometer per hour, and that too in the opposite direction. It's really sad that they're waxing eloquent and speaking about what can be done, but they've failed to do anything meaningful. Let me come with Bangalore example itself. See, it's not just about nightlife, pubs or anything else. Even a simple restaurant with seating capacity of 200 people hardly has parking capacity for 20 people. Now, where are they expecting people who come to eat and dine and spend time in the restaurants have parked their vehicles? See, it's about urban capacities. It's about sewage, it's about water, it's about parking, it's about air quality, it's about everything else. There's a fundamental management saying, and I would like to remind both the political representatives here, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Where have you planned for each of these provisions, right? Urban services provisioning should always come before you go ahead and give permits. Now, let's look at it, right? I mean, no urban local body in India today is on top of the challenges that the cities are facing. They are crumbling. Now let's look at it, right? This is a purely residential zone. People have put in their own hard-earned salary. They have put in...
Yes.
Sir,
One second.
Allow me to complete. You have had your say. Allow me to complete. You have had your say. People have put their hard-earned money and they have put in their retirement money as well as pension money to have a home.
Be realistic.
Yeah, Mr. Sawant, go ahead. Mr. Sawant,
there are people who are stuck inside home who are 80-year-old and they can't take their vehicle out of the place. Why? Because some commercial establishment, some value of some pub has come and parked in front of their gate.
Yeah, so what is your solution? Why are you saying this?
What have you been doing?
Correct. But what, please, therefore you listen to me now.
Allow me to complete, right? Allow me to complete, Mr. Arvind Sawant. Mr. Arvind Sawant, allow me to complete.
One second. Sridhar, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you for a rebut. Let Mr. Sawant finish his point. Sridhar, I'll come back to you for a rebut. Mr. Sawant, go ahead.
I said I wanted to interrupt you. I said I wanted to interrupt you. The problem is that nobody tries to understand the problem itself at the root level.
So what is the problem, sir? Mr. Sawant, explain the problem to us.
Yeah, I'll tell you. The problem most important problem is the urbanization and population. Now, for example, Mumbai city, what should be the density of the people who are here? When Balasaheb Thackeray used to say, we should control it. Why we have controlled the member in the Lok Sabha? Why we are not raising the numbers? The population has gone to 125 crores. Urbanization is going like anything, and people are rushing in the cities.
Okay.
There is a hell of an income. What you talk about parking and dining? There is no
but Mr.
Sawant,
allow me to interrupt you now, Mr. Sawant. That is why we have urban local bodies who are meant to plan these things. This is why we have urban local bodies who are meant to plan these things. This is why we pay taxes, sir.
I am asking you one question. How can you do it when Mumbai cities, all those Britishers have laid down this average for 25 lakh people? Today it is 2.5 crores.
So, it didn't go from 25 lakh to 2.5 crores overnight. It went over many years where the BMC was supposed to be
asking how can we do it when you only said you'll do it some time ago?
They go on encroaching anything and will go on asking question also.
No. Somebody is giving them permission, Mr. Sawant.
Mr. Sawant.
Constitution allows everybody to go anywhere. Why don't you go to the root of
Mr. Sawant,
This is the urbanization which is causing a serious problem in the country.
Okay, all right. So I understand what you're saying, Mr. Sawant. Let me open this up to everybody to respond to you. Let me open this up. Danish Sait.
I need to complete.
Okay, Sridhar Pabbishetty first. Sridhar Pabbishetty, go ahead.
See, I think exactly, Mr. Arvind Sawant just reiterated what I was saying. They are running in the opposite direction. They are talking about how do I limit the population control. I mean, population in the cities. You can't. World over, nobody is trying to limit the amount of people in the cities. Urbanization is a real phenomenon. Wake up and accept it. Don't fight this. But the point is, you have to have the discipline of saying that the government has the ability to direct the way urbanization happens. You can always create additional capacities in new areas of the city. It's not as if the new areas of Mumbai are excellent with infrastructure. They are crumbling as well. Why? Because the local body did not put in effort and discipline in creating services before allowing people to build.
No, I think we should also acknowledge.
Make the gentleman Prime Minister.
Mr. Sawant, I think you're being very sarcastic. I'm going to bring in Hrishikesh Kanan. Yeah, Hrishikesh Kanan. Let's acknowledge the fact, Rishi.
There are the people who oppose the same thing.
They've just gone away from somewhere to somewhere.
No. See, let me just bring this back to this point.
This
okay,
debate is like Indira Nagar right now.
Right, one second. I want to just bring this.
Like
I just want to bring this back, Hrishikesh Kanan, to the fact that no city goes from 25 lakh people to 25 crore people overnight. Right? There are urban local bodies, whether that's the BBMP in Bangalore, whether it's the BMC in Mumbai, who are entrusted with a job, who are paid taxes, whose job it is to upgrade the sewage, whose job it is to look after the parking, whose job it is to give permissions to each of these restaurants, based on how many people they will seat and how many tables they will have in that restaurant. So to turn around and say, because the population has increased, now you can't expect us to do this, I think is completely unfair to the citizens, like the resident like Aruna Newton, who's joined us on the show. Hrishikesh Kanan?
Yeah, in that aspect, there are some things that the BMC has done which is very commendable. Bandra, which is an area that we keep talking about, there has been many instances whereby they've actually gone and broken a mezzanine floor, where they've seen a restaurant which is built beyond what the development plan has been, and gone and actually raised it to the ground and sent out very, very strong messages. As far as what he's talking about, I mean, it's I don't agree with it at all. I mean, it's like you're saying, it's like passing the buck and saying it's a population issue. For that matter, look at the population that has exploded onto Juhu Beach. Are you trying to say that I'm going to stop cleaning Juhu Beach and stop putting plans into place? Now, look, there is the flip side, which is the point that you raised right in the beginning. What are we going to do with existing establishments, restaurants or otherwise? Yes, they will have to be moved. They will have to be shifted to the nearest entertainment hub or zone that they create. For example, if Bandra West is where existing restaurants are, they need to be moved to a Bandra Kurla, which is the nearest possible entertainment hub. Likewise, in town, if there are places in Kolaba, they might be moved to Kalagoda, which is again predominantly an office area. So yes, that movement has to happen, and they have got to try and make it seamless.
But let me bring in Danish Sait. Danish, it's not just Indira Nagar. While the residents of Indira Nagar have organized themselves to run this campaign, even if you look at Kamanahally main road, if you look at any main road which is now turning into high streets, there is no place to walk, there's no place to drive, and it's turning into a ruckus place.
Everywhere, right?
What do you do? Where is the solution, Danish?
Well, I think it's like we've all been hearing in this conversation right now. I think it's a little unfair to just blame business owners. It's also the fact that once upon a time there was a house there, and then that man sold his land because he saw money. So it's also, to an extent, the onus of the individual who's selling it or to the neighbors, right? You can, they have to take permission, they have to seek permission, and they need to get letters and all of that. And I think you can buy anything. You can just pay money and somebody will sign it for you. I completely agree with Rishi when he says that there needs to be like a entertainment district, and that's exactly what I said right at the top as well. Otherwise, to the existing situation, I think this debate is a lot like these residential areas. If you realize most people who don't have political affiliations have just agreed, and we technically were not even arguing. There is no argument to our side. And then you have the political parties on the other side. I just thought this would be the most, peaceful debate ever. And then I see people just blaming each other. Somebody bringing out facts. Somebody saying, no, we did this, we did that. I think it's about time we stop discussing what has happened in the past and look forward to the future and get it moving. I think that's important. We dwell too much in what has happened and what hasn't happened versus what is to be done. I think it's clear that from everybody here that we understand, we empathize with the residents of these areas, and now we just need to find a solution. So find the solution because we've elected you all. What do you want us to do? Tell us.
Aruna Newton.
So Faye, I'd like to start with saying I'm not against pubs and bars. I'm not against people earning their livelihood. I'm sick and tired of two rhetorics that you hear constantly.
Ma'am, we've understood that. You've made that...
I'll just finish.
Sorry.
I'll just finish, Danish. I'm just sick of two rhetorics.
Ma'am, just one second, ma'am.
The first is the city has grown...
Ma'am, sorry, ma'am, just 1 second. Ma'am, when you initially said that you didn't want, you were looking at a great nightlife in Mumbai and all of that, you had already made your point clear. Trust me. I'm telling you as a common citizen, I'm very
I was just saying,
you have to believe me.
1 second.
We agree.
I'll just So thanks, Danish. Thanks for being on my side. I'm just saying I'm tired of two rhetorics that people have used ceaselessly, unnecessarily to create confusion. The first is, this is not a protest against people earning their living by running restaurants, for God's sake. And we are sick and tired of the government telling us that the city has grown beyond their expectations. It was horrible to listen to the esteemed representative of the Mumbai, corporation, who actually said the British laid the sewage lines. For God's sake, history tells us the British left over 6 decades ago. I mean, what the hell were we doing till now? And it didn't grow, like you said. It didn't grow in the last 2 years. It grew from 25 lakhs to 12.5 crores. I mean, what on earth are we talking about? So I just want to keep this aside, Faye, and say that we are very much in favor of zoned development. Development that also has implementation engines to match.
Yeah.
So I like the point about the police being aware. I like the point about the municipal agencies being alert to what they're actually doing and looking at the pressure all of this places on already dwindling resources. So that the point here is, it's not about this versus this. Can you imagine what pubs and bars are doing in Indira Nagar? You'll be shocked to know. If you complain about the noise, they're likely to come up and tell you, ma'am, don't worry about it. I will soundproof your house. I will soundproof your house for free. And guess what, ma'am? There is dinner for 2 of you any day of the week on the house. Or you can come in for drinks. I mean, this is absolutely the pits. And I can't tell you how many people who've fallen for it. And the government saying people have been greedy to convert their property is the stupidest reason. Is the government trying to tell me that a human being...
convert their property? In fact, let me bring in Aarti Sathe. Aarti Sathe, I think one of the problems here, like while everybody has acknowledged that we need to look forward and find solutions, we have to also acknowledge the fact that we've made mistakes going up. So if we can't agree on what is the cause of the problem, how will we find a solution? So my concern here is with the fact that the representative of the Shiv Sena turned around, he's now left this conversation, turned around and said, Mumbai is growing too fast for us to stay on top of it, that the urbanization is happening too quickly. I don't think, like pointed out by other members of the panel, Aarti, that urbanization or growth can happen without the knowledge of the government of the day. Whoever's running the city is obviously aware of the kind of permissions that are being given out, where they're being given out, what the space availability is, what the parking availability is. So that if we don't agree on the cause of the problem, how will we agree on the solution?
Yeah.
No, see, I think urbanization is here to stay. Even if you see all the economic surveys which happen, from periodically. Just 1 minute, I have to complete what I have because she's asked me the question and then you can start what you have to. So periodically urbanization is taking, periodic surveys are being taken and urbanization is a thing to stay. Now, how we deal with those problems which come about as a result of the urbanization, I think that will be something which the government will have to be cognizant about. That is something which we will, keeping aside whatever political differences that we may have, we'll have to really work, and we will ensure that we work for the cause of the citizens, because we cannot shy away from the fact that there is, in fact, now still the migration into Bombay has reduced marginally over a period of last few years. But otherwise, Bombay was really the commercial hub town. But now, because of a little bit of decentralization, tier 2 cities, really growing, what one really needs to learn is that if there are any mistakes which have been committed as far as Bombay is concerned, those same mistakes should not be replicated as far as the tier 2 cities are concerned. So I think the government is very much aware of these issues and very much committed to the fact that whatever problems and whatever situations that urbanization will bring about and is bringing about, we will, to the best of our abilities, handle it and address it head on with, whatever political differences or whatever tinkering around of proposals which need to be made.
Hrishikesh
So
Kanan?
I think that we are very clear about that. Just because the city is growing in numbers doesn't mean that we will not address those problems.
All right, so Hrishikesh Kanan, you had something to add. Go ahead.
The point that ma'am made in Bengaluru about Indira Nagar being infested with hooligans who are actually urinating on the walls and being loud and things like that, let me tell you that the problems are not unique to just Bangalore. I have family in Manchester, and the central business district of Manchester in the United Kingdom, I tell you, is on Saturday night is just can't be believed. The kind of behavior, urinating in public, screaming, shouting, yelling, a fair amount of rowdyism. The police keep a fair amount of check on that. But the fact of the matter is, residents aren't disturbed because it's in the business district, and all the big nightclubs are in and around that area. And that precisely is the point we're all trying to make, I think, largely here, saying that in a residential area, there will always be senior citizens, children, all of us, working professionals who probably want to call it a night early and don't want the harassment of this kind of, indiscriminate parking and things like that. Another unique example in Mumbai is the fact that some restaurants in Bandra have actually tied up, and even music festivals have tied up with parking lots that are available to them only in the night time. I was pleasantly surprised during the Blues Festival, which ran for about, for 3 to 4 days, that Stanislaus School had given their parking lot to be used at night by the people who are visiting that festival. And increasingly in Bandra, we're seeing that. We're seeing that there is the public itself is coming together and saying, do we have parking space that we can utilize?
Right. Mitesh, so see, this is my concern here. Again, we keep circling back to this. At some point, the existing bars and restaurants in residential neighborhoods, and everybody seems to be in agreement about the fact that if you have a pub or a restaurant that serves alcohol in a residential neighborhood, that it will cause inconvenience. So at some point, these pubs and restaurants will have to be moved out into a zone. How do you feel about that?
I'm not sure if it's a very viable option ASAP. I mean, what has happened is that these things have happened over a long period of time. It's taken 20, 30, 40, 50 years to be where we are. So obviously, moving to a new zone, and I mean, it's completely welcome. Every restaurant association, every restaurateur wants to be in a place where they are not inconveniencing other people. We also live in residential areas. We also have commercial establishments close to our house. So we completely understand the fact, that every restaurant is not there to create a nuisance, and like Aruna ma'am said that hooliganism and indecent behavior cannot be condoned in any way. It is not about Indira Nagar or it's a universal phenomenon.
Mitesh, do you have a restaurant in a residential neighborhood?
We used to. We closed it down. And the BMC and the police here in Bombay are extremely particular about that. Restaurants have to be closed down on time. It used to be 15 years ago, restaurants used to be open till 3:30 and 4 in the morning. Not anymore. At 12 o'clock, there are police vans outside restaurants asking people to shut down restaurants. There are, very stringent BMC laws. They are, Like I mentioned earlier, there are restaurants being demolished left, right, and center, and all that is not because of anything, or it's not like we have anything to do with it. We have no option.
You have no option. Let me bring in some voices. We have Sneha on the phone line right now, and I'll come back to you, Mitesh. Sneha, go ahead.
I'm online.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you. You're on the show.
Yeah, I think, I believe I'm a long-time resident of Indira Nagar, and Indira Nagar is right now a very unique problem, right, and which I see will replicate across the city. It's while politics and planning and all those underlying factors are all there or all accepted, I think in Indira Nagar it's violations galore, right, and total apathy towards the violations from the officials concerned, be it the municipal officials, be it the police. Nobody wants to take ownership for anything. This is 12th Main, as per the zoning map was commercial access, which means it's a mixed
So you are saying that the fault here, Sneha, lies with the government that allowed for these restaurants to come into a zone that was ideally, supposed to be meant to be only for residents. Anish is also on the phone line. Anish, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to make a couple of points here. I think somebody tried to bring it up. I think Danish tried to bring it up some time back. See, the thing is, we can't just go all out and say, you got to shut all the pubs and restaurants. First of all, I think, as much as I would like to sympathize on the residents, I think the residents have had the perks, where the property value shot up, they get higher rents because of whatever, the developments there. And, it's not a thing that you can just take a call saying that, you just go ahead and shut everything now because it's suddenly an inconvenience to them. I think, like somebody was trying to say earlier, it's not just about the pub owners or the residents. I think you've got to go back to the root or the actual problem, which is the infrastructure. So, and who's responsible for it? And Indira Nagar has been like, a happening town for quite some time now. So if BBMP knew that, there's been a constant boom, they should have done something about the infrastructure. You're talking about pipelines which are 50, 60 years old. What were you been doing all these years? So why can't you
let me ask this question. I have one question for Aarti Sathe because I know she has to leave. Aarti, this is a perfect example of cities that are not smart. And I'll tell you which cities are not smart in India right now. Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai and Kolkata, these are cities that are not smart. And if we take this opportunity to learn from what we've done so far, shouldn't ideally the government's smart city program aim at fixing these problems and perhaps not repeating the mistakes in new neighborhoods that are being built or new cities that are being planned? Is this an idea or a concept that we can take to the smart city program to make sure that it doesn't get repeated?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I said. I just said earlier also that certain mistakes which may have happened in Bombay because of since it was at one point of time the only commercial / financial capital of the country, and now because there is a whole lot of percolation in the tier 2 cities, we have to see to it that we don't replicate those same mistakes in those other cities. I think the fine example would be the satellite city of Navi Mumbai, where we have definitely much better infrastructure in comparison to Bombay. We also have cities like, the satellite cities like in Delhi, where again there is better infrastructure which is being provided. So surely, the examples of the mega cities which may have gone wrong or which may have been a little out of reach for even government agencies to handle, I think when the smart city programs are implemented, surely this suggestion will be taken into consideration, and all these problems, in fact, we will have urban planners on board before really. So the ideal thing is, like many countries in the West, or say maybe in Australia or China, they really set up the cities first and then they invite the people, which is of course a luxury which we cannot afford in India because we are already so many people. But we will have urban planners in place, and we will have professional people who will help us to really chalk out a situation where these problems do not get replicated in other satellite cities.
All right, that's a brilliant idea. Of course, there is a lot to be done in that area. We've seen a lot of tier 2, tier 3 cities repeat that problem. Pune, Koregaon Park, for example, has that problem as well. But Aruna Newton, I want you to respond to what was said on the phone, which is basically residents have benefited from the increase of price value of their homes in Indira Nagar. You can't have the best of both worlds. So you can't also want the value of your homes to increase while you don't want any of the nuisance that comes with it. Aruna, what's your response for that?
Okay, so I think this is another wrongly quoted argument. Hey, you know what? Why are you cribbing? The value of your property has gone up, right? And I think that's absolutely the lousiest argument you can actually advance. The reason I say this is you cannot right a wrong by trying to argue, hey, you know what? You might actually benefit if you go the wrong route. So I don't think that's an argument at all. There was no reason for us and our property values to shoot up with this kind of commercialization. The government is almost trying to make you believe that all you have to do is just do your thing, even if it's a violation of the law. And what can the poor government do? They can only write it because, it's the will of the people. I think that's a completely overused, abused, completely wrong argument. You cannot justify something imagining that it probably results in a benefit. Nobody asked for property valuation to go up and actually quality of life to deteriorate. That was not the trade-off that we wanted.
Mitesh disagrees with you. Mitesh?
Ma'am, I feel there are various ways of looking at this problem. I mean, one of the major reasons why we have this problem, I feel, is because there are multiple agencies, involved in issuing licenses and permits to restaurants. So there is so there's a separate department that gives you a license for alcohol. There is a separate department that gives you license for food. There's a separate department that that okays your property. So there are 15 agencies that that you have to approach. And each one and they are not coordinating with each other. They are not talking to each other at all. So there is absolutely, like they do in other countries. What happens is, there's a single window clearance. There's one agency which looks after everything. So if you are supposed to get a license, you will get it. If not, you can do whatever you want. You will not get a license or a permit to be in business.
The argument, Mitesh, the argument that residents have benefited from commercialization. Do you agree with that argument?
Nitesh, yes, Nitesh, I want to say one thing. I think what you've said is there are multiple agencies. They're not coordinating. Be that as it may. The first point that I'm making is every one of them are actually in violation of the law themselves and the law that they themselves have framed. You can't put up a building that is over 11.5 meters without providing for a 6-meter setback. That's a fire safety norm. Please come to Indira Nagar and look at the violation right from the sanction plan onwards. So when every government agency is actually violating the law they've created, it's a lost case. I fully appreciate your point that there are different agencies and they're probably not talking to each other. Every one of them are in violation. That is Bangalore's problem.
Mitesh, you didn't answer the question I asked you, Mitesh. Do you believe that residents have benefited from the commercialization, that they actually allow for the change and then turn around and say, listen, it's too
We are in the commercial capital of India. We are a 24/7 city. There are offices, and I'm sure that holds true for Bangalore and that holds true for Delhi and Gurgaon and Pune and all these cities. So we are operating 24/7. There are places, and there are people who are working, people who go out, like they finish work at 12 when they finish work.
I think Bangalore operates very differently.
No, so what's your point?
So the idea is that we have to, we have to have, places that
that stay open late at night.
That stay open late at night. I completely agree with the, with the zoning part. But what about the places that are already there?
What about the places that are already there? And Danish, I think the problem here is also with the disagreement that we are at, and this is a problem we should solve for, is are we arguing that these places should not be allowed to stay open past 11 o'clock, which is Bangalore's rule, or are we arguing that they should be removed from residential neighborhoods altogether? So if these places were to shut down at 10:30, 11 o'clock, would Indira Nagar residents be happy then?
Well, we're talking about Bengaluru, where already a lot of things shut by about 11, except for Fridays and Saturdays. I'm not somebody who's going to immediately take that drastic step and say, throw them out right now. No. Central Entertainment District is one option. But I'd just like to add on that point of rents around commercial areas. If I'm right, one of the most expensive parts of Bangalore or Bengaluru is Sadashiv Nagar, Malleshwaram. That's one of the most expensive, perhaps the most expensive part of Bangalore. They don't have too many nightclubs and pubs and all of that there. Like, you'll never hear somebody from Bengaluru saying, hey, let's go to Sadashiv Nagar and Club Macha. You'll never hear someone saying that, right? Or let's go party in Sadashiv Nagar. They'd all, come down to, an Indira Nagar or an MG Road or wherever the other places
Let me just correct you there. When we talk about rentals, there are two kinds of rentals. The rental that you get from giving somebody your home to live in, and the rental that you get from turning your home into a commercial complex and giving it to a restaurant, which is a completely different rent, and if you sell it. So when someone sells in Indira Nagar vis-a-vis someone selling in Sadashiv Nagar, you get a completely different...
Then commercial, of course, yes.
Convert?
Yes. Commercial, then definitely people in Indira Nagar are making a lot of
Danish, that
money.
sounds as confusing as some of your jokes. That's really confusing, Danish. I'll be honest with you. You can't right a wrong by advancing an argument. That is as petty as, guess what? Aruna, please be happy. The value of your property is going up.
Residential rents, you know how it is, ma'am.
No. So Aruna and Sridhar Pabbishetty, the question is, if these pubs were told to close at 10:30, and these people came out and made their ruckus at 10:30 and they were gone by 11:15, would that make you happy, or do you want them moved out altogether? That would not make you happy, Aruna. Then what do you want?
Okay. Let's look at the existing law, right? See, there are commercial zones where you are welcome to do what you are supposed to do. If any resident in if anybody has a house in the residential area and is complaining, then it's his problem, right? So a resident staying in the commercial area has to put up with the problem that he is facing. But on the contrary, why is a commercial establishment in a residential area using all this justification, telling, your property value is going up? Boss, I built a house not for selling it. I built a house to stay there and retire. I didn't buy it as an investment. So allow me, give me the peace of life,
that is your
and give me a quality of
but
life.
Other people have done it.
Danish, that doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make it right.
Danish, that doesn't make it right. You have to do what you can do.
Fine.
You have to do.
All of you can jump on my life. That's fine. All of you can jump on my life. I'm just going to.
I agree. Allow me, Sridhar Pabbishetty, to agree with Danish Sait here.
I'm not fighting with you.
No, I agree with Danish here that while people who build houses want to retire peacefully,
simplify this.
Everybody enjoys appreciation in the homes that they build. Now, are you telling me, Sridhar Pabbishetty, are you telling me the entire 100-foot road in Indira Nagar is illegal and should be removed? Entire 100-foot road in Indira Nagar is illegal and should be removed. Is that what you're saying, Sridhar Pabbishetty?
So with due respect to whoever,
when I build a home for staying, I don't want it to appreciate the appreciation of no value.
We were talking about
rents. I can sell it every month. I'm not selling it every day.
Okay, you're all about talking at the same time. Nobody can understand you. One at a time, please. One at a time.
So when I'm staying in a residential area, when I build a home for myself,
you have a house. One second. Different.
Danish, go ahead. We're running out of time. Very quickly.
Sir, you are a wonderful man. I want to be like you. I don't want to sell the house that I bought now. I want to keep it and live here and pass it on for generations. But everybody isn't like you and me, no. Somebody who sells it obviously makes good commercial rent. First, when I spoke about Sadashiv Nagar, I was genuinely taking this as residential rents. The moment Faye brought about the whole commercial aspect, I said it's true. Obviously, people in Indira Nagar are making money because every businessman wants to be there, right? Having said that, now when as a residential association, as people from that neighborhood, when you all turn around and say, hey, no, we don't want these clubs here, I agree with you. I'm saying, yes, there should be a central, entertainment district. So please tell me which one of these things gives you the opportunity to jump on my life. Please tell me.
Nothing.
I have a very serious change of user laws in Mumbai, and you can't just change from a residential to a commercial property overnight. It takes years to get those clearances.
But we have to also acknowledge one thing.
We don't have the clearances. We don't have the clearances in Indira Nagar. I challenge the clearances in Indira Nagar. I'm making a very specific reference to Indira Nagar. I agree with you. It takes years
won't get a clearance. then you will get it.
Rishi has not said anything. I have to wrap up this conversation. Rishi, very quickly. Hrishikesh Kanan, very quickly. Are you convinced, should we shut these places down entirely and move them?
Yeah, I just wanted to make one small point about the thing about time, where the gentleman who's a restaurateur turned around and said, but there are, there are policies in place to shut them down by 10:30, 11:30. I don't think residents are going to be happy with that, because ALMs, which is ALMs in Bandra, will turn around and say, listen, I sleep earlier, or my child sleeps earlier, or my senior citizen father sleeps earlier. Likewise, as far as necessity being the mother of invention is concerned, if you're going to curtail time limits, people are going to get drunk earlier. People are going to come and park their cars earlier. So the essential problems remain the same.
Right.
I don't think you can turn around and say, let's, reduce the time frame and shut them down earlier.
All right, and in fact, we have to wrap up this conversation. Everyone from Bangalore will agree that Bangalore figured out that hack a very long time ago. When Bangalore shuts at 11 o'clock, people start at 2 in the afternoon so that they can make up for the lost time. And so they'll come out and be ruckus at 11 o'clock in the evening. It's that you've just moved the problem backwards by a couple of hours. The truth is, here are the issues. The residents have a very, very good point. There is no reason why they should be putting up with that kind of noise. There is no reason why illegal permission should be handed out. But what do we do with restaurants and pubs who have valid permissions, who have valid reasons to be there, and who've been there for nearly 10 years? Should they be shut down and moved as well? This has all happened because the people who plan our cities, the fathers of our cities, have mucked up. They haven't done their jobs. And now we're left with a problem. There might be a solution here for resident associations and nightclubs to work together and find some sort of solution. We'll stay on this issue to tell you how the city of Bangalore, who did not respond to us at all, is going to deal with this problem and respond to the citizens of Indira Nagar. Thanks for watching.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.